If we get no questions, do you want me to ask questions?
Yeah, I was thinking maybe we could yeah, I mean I have all the previous PowerPoints, so I was thinking we could go through some of them or yeah, maybe you could ask me questions. Yeah.
I think, yeah, I mean, there's some useful sort of beginner questions about like, well, things like maybe what are the Git commands that you use most commonly, or
Yeah.
what did you find challenging about learning Git? Stuff like that, that actually lots of people will probably have the same
Yeah,
kinds
those are
of
very good
challenges.
questions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, that'd be really helpful for us, yeah, because this is yeah, it's just basically an open Q&A, but if we don't have any queries then yeah. Hmm. The live stream's on. I guess we'll give it a couple of minutes and then can start. Hear any music, can you?
I cannot.
Okay, good. Yeah, just because I think it might be my neighbour. I can hear like Wuthering Heights a little bit.
The Kate Bush song, or okay.
Sorry.
Okay, just checking. It's not just someone standing outside going wuthering, wuthering, wuthering.
Pretty scary. Okay, well, we're at past now, so hello to those that are in the live stream. This is our code anxiety. I think it's our sixth session now, so the last session of the second sort of batch of code anxiety drop-ins. But this session is just going to be an open Q&A. So if you are joining via the YouTube chat, you can just pop in any questions. And I'm joined by my colleagues Jules and Nadia, so we can hopefully help you with any queries that you might have. If not, then Jules is going to ask me some questions. But yeah, just bear in mind that if you are joining by, if you would like to ask a question, you do need to be signed into your YouTube account, and there is a slight delay on the live stream of about 30 seconds. So just bear that in mind. I guess we can give it a few minutes, see if any questions come in.
What was, can you just list off the topics for the six or the sessions we've had so far this session,
Yeah, that's a good call. Let me just look it up in
just so
another.
they can know what to ask about, or at least what we have talked about, if that's what they want to
Yeah,
ask about.
yeah, that's a really good shout. Okay, let's have a look. Right. So we have, so the first session was about installing software and libraries. So we looked at how to install your programming language of choice. We covered Python and R. We looked at package managers as well and why they are useful for installing coding libraries and how they can help you manage your dependencies so that you don't have a really messy um, coding environment where you've got lots of conflicting versions and you just can't, progress with your coding. And we looked at virtual environments as well and when they might be useful. So creating virtual environments for your different projects where you can have your different coding packages in each. Um, and then we looked at best practices for coding projects. So We got to grips with naming conventions for your files and folders and why we do that and why it's important to be consistent. We looked at how to structure your directory. So if you're going to create a new project, how do you want that to look so that you got everything in the right place? We also learned how to set your directory so that you can easily read in files in Python. So we looked at that with Visual Studio Code or RStudio. A third session we did was an introduction to Python and R, so creating our first coding scripts. So again, we did that in Visual Studio Code, Python, and we did it in RStudio for those that are using R. We looked at some basic syntax, how to get scripts to functions, did a few practical exercises using the coding packages Pandas for Python or Diplo.
I call it dplayer.
How'd you say it?
Dplayer.
Dplayer, right? Yeah.
I think some people say dplier, but
Okay. Yeah, we looked at that as well to explore a very simple data set and next we moved on to Git. So looking at version control basics is a really big one if you're going to be getting into coding, especially if you're working on a collaborative project. Version control is something you really need to get to grips with, and Git is the one that most people use when they're coding. So we looked at understanding the importance of tracking changes to files over time, so why you might want to do that, what's the point of it, how to install Git and master basic Git commands on your terminal. So these are things, commands such as git init, git clone, git status, git add, git commit, and git push. But there's so many Git commands, but these are probably the most important ones that you'll be using most often. And we did some practical exercises to build confidence in using Git, and we also looked at its desktop equivalent, which is GitHub, so where you can store a remote copy of your repository, so you can have your projects all nice and neatly displayed. Then the final session that we did was debugging. So we looked at finding and fixing errors, which is really important if you're going to be coding. So we looked at how you can understand the most common errors that you'll run into as a first-time coder and how you can best avoid them as well. We also looked briefly at using Visual Studio Code's debugger and also RStudio's built-in debugger to spot problems in your scripts. And we did a few practical exercises as well to build your own function and also explore why variable scope is important. So we touched on that just a little bit at the end of the last session. But yeah, that's the code anxiety sessions, and this is a session now, just a little open forum where you've got the opportunity to ask questions about any of those topics that we've just covered so far.
I'm going to point out that's a lot to cover, especially because the code anxiety sessions are short.
Yeah, I mean, some of them
Covered a
are
lot.
well, we did run over on some of them.
Yeah, all right. But they were all well under like 45 minutes. Even if they ran over, it was like 10 minutes over. So,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, quite a lot, really, isn't it? When I was reading that, I was like, "Whew, that was a lot of information."
That is a lot. Well, unless there's any questions that have come through on the live stream, I'm going to ask what language do you use most and how did you install it?
Okay, so the language I use most is Python. How did I install it? I installed it via the Python website,
Okay.
I'm pretty sure, but yeah, I think I did. But I know that I think it might be Windows where it comes with Python.
No, I had to install it. I
Oh,
use Python. I'd say the most I use is Python as well on Windows, but I installed it via pip on the command line.
okay.
So, yeah, it's just, and Nadia, I assume you use R most.
I do use R most, but when I installed Python, I did it on the pip as well, using
Oh, no
pipfet.
way.
All right, so there we go. We've got three different sort of
Mhm.
combinations
Yeah,
because Nadia uses Mac. I use Windows, but we both installed via pip. And then Louise, you installed it directly from their website. So three different options.
yeah.
I know you can
Probably,
also, what is the other one? Uh, Conda or
yeah, you can use Conda to install different versions of Python as well. And can you use Homebrew? I think you can use
probably.
Homebrew. But back when I installed Python, to be honest, that was when I was doing my master's course, and
Mhm.
I never used Python before. So the terminal was a bit of a mystery to me, which is why I installed it probably via the website.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, you can use it.
yeah,
It's interesting because with most like introductions to R&R Studio, we're guided towards the website as well to download off there as opposed to
mhm.
using
Yeah,
mine. And I think that
yeah, I think maybe they know that the terminal can scare some people, but
Yeah,
it's because that's the thing that's why we kind of put these sessions on, isn't it? Because a
yeah,
lot of people, it's kind of like the hidden module of computer science or any, you know, getting scripted coding is that you don't always know how to navigate the terminal or what a terminal even is.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and I was very scared by my terminal when I first started using
mm,
It does look like, the matrix is happening in your computer and you're not sure what's going to happen. Um,
Yeah.
I I say I would usually because I've got a managed computer, it's managed by the University of Manchester, that I always look on the software center. So that's the little application that gives
Mhm.
opportunities to download software as approved by the university. I always look for applications on there first before I try and install it anywhere else, because it means that those are not only the paid version, if the university pays for a paid version, but also a stable version that is comes from a reliable downloader, so you won't get, scammed or malwared or something like that. But also you potentially get an upgraded version than you might get free through other sources. I don't know how useful that is for our audience. I assume many people in our audience are either students or research staff at universities, or at least research staff with sort of managed institutions. So something like that might be available for them too.
Yeah, that's a
I
really
don't
good
think
point, actually.
I don't think Python was on it though, but I did get R that way.
Yeah, R is definitely on it, but I don't think Python's on it.
I
I
don't think
think,
it was, no.
yeah.
How about Git? How did you download Git?
Now that I'm pretty sure I did via the terminal.
Yeah.
yeah, me too.
Yeah, yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, because by the time I started using Git, I was a bit more familiar with
Mm,
how things, how the terminal works. But yeah, we definitely didn't cover it in my uni course.
hmm
Like I'd heard of it and I knew it was something that, you know, coders and software developers used, but I hadn't come across it.
Yeah,
You
that's fair.
Yeah.
I think I downloaded it through my terminal as well. Um, and I almost exclusively work with Git through the terminal. I don't really, I do use the website for copying the address to clone from, but that's about all I
Yeah.
use the GitHub website for, or for looking at other people's sort of repositories. But yeah, I hardly ever commit updates through the website.
Yeah. Some people really don't like using the terminal for it. I'm pretty sure there is like a intermediary thing. Is it Git Desktop?
Yeah, there's also Git Bash, which is a separate.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, I mean it's more of it sort of turns your computer into a managed Git repository server that
Oh, okay.
so you can instead of having things remotely backed up on GitHub, like
Yeah.
a repo on GitHub, it turns your computer into that kind of
Oh, that's
repository.
cool.
Yeah, it's a little more advanced. I assume it's for people that maybe have like multiple cooperative partners working closely together, and they want
Mhm.
a layer of security, but they want it easy for each other to get into it without allowing other people to get into it. It's probably not relevant for most of the people attending the code anxiety clubs.
Yeah,
Something to be aware of, though.
yeah, definitely. For desktop could be something that you might want to explore if you just hate the terminal. It's got a better user interface, but
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't
I
like it that much. But
it also appears in the if you right click on a file or a folder, it gives you a Git option in the right click pop
oh,
up
cool.
to upload it or push the changes or, put in an error commit message and things like that. So it does sort of integrate with your sort of desktop GUI a bit more if you install the desktop version. But yeah, I just get I'm so used to using the terminal now that I always forget that I have it in the right click menu. But
Yeah, same. I mean, I don't even have the little desktop in my apps anymore. I think I probably deleted it a while ago.
yeah.
But there is also extensions that you can get in your, IDEs and stuff like that. Like there's a VS Code Git extension, and that's quite nice because it gives you like these really beautiful visualizations of your commits and stuff, and it shows you like them all sort of branching off. And I think that can be quite good if you're working maybe with like a few other people too, because quite nice to see where you're up to. And I think it allows you to use some Git commands in VS Code. So I mean, definitely have a look at some of those.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it is perpetually on my list of things to do is to get better at using VS Code. I tend to just use
Mm.
Jupyter notebooks in
So,
a browser,
yeah.
which yeah, it doesn't have all the bells and whistles of VS Code, but it also means that I feel it's really easy for me to share with people who
Yeah.
would be baffled by the bells and the whistles.
Yeah, same. I mean, I think VS Code is one of those where it's quite the learning curve, but you can get so much out of it that I've just never really invested enough time into it. Whereas I've seen like Sarwatch showing me, I think she uses VS Code, and it's great some of the stuff that you can do in there. You can use like GitHub, is it Copilot, GitHub Copilot or something, which
Yeah.
it'll sort of auto complete bits of your code, or, you can integrate different AIs into it and ask questions in the box where you usually code. So you can get really advanced stuff with it, but I just never have sunk enough time into it to really unlock its full potential. But
Yeah. There's always so much else that I could be doing that it
yeah,
just seems like such yeah, as you say, a steep learning curve and a sort of gradual, a very future payoff. And like,
yeah,
no matter how good that payoff it is, it's like, oh, that's future me's problem.
yeah. Whereas I don't think you get, can you install extensions into RStudio to make it, you know, a different, a more
I,
modified experience, or is that
I mean, you can connect our studio to GitHub pretty well,
right?
but I don't know whether that's like a functional sort of connection or whether it's like an encouraging, helpful, completes your steps for you kind of connection. I don't know. Nadia, what do you think? What?
Yeah, I think it's quite functional. So our studio, they've got a inbuilt like terminal within the IDE itself. So I use that terminal when I'm committing or pushing to GitHub.
Mhm.
Oh,
But you can also establish a second connection with Git itself that kind of involves, but it's a bit outside of our studio, but you can
right.
establish a connection which allows you to do more than you normally would just using the terminal. So
Mm.
it does, yeah, once you like install our studio, the basics are there and you can talk to Git, but you need to establish your what's it called? The SSH key and the
Oh, yeah, yeah,
key, and you need to get your password from Git So that Arc
Ah,
established that. So you have to have that little connection before you work with any kind of like repos that's not associated with your own account. So yeah.
right.
So like, I can understand why it's so confusing to new users.
Yes. Yeah, because as we've found, I mean, there's only three of us here, but we've got at least three different ways of doing all the different things. So it's can be really confusing to find the way that someone wants to do it. If they have learned something and they want to carry on learning that kind of process, it can sometimes be hard to know how to connect them up with new things because you want to follow the same basic process they have been using. So it can be tricky. But there are answers out there. Fortunately, lots of people like to make videos about how they do a thing, or they write a blog about it, or you can join these code anxiety clubs and see a demonstration about it. Is there any AI support in RStudio, Nadia? Can you get a little Copilot AI buddy?
That's a very good question. I believe you can get Copilot, but I have not set that up myself. That might be
Find it annoying. No.
stubborn
I
and don't get Copilot, so I
yeah,
haven't bothered to try. But
yeah. I actually did find the Copilot in VS Code to be annoying because it kept suggesting like auto-completing things that wasn't what I wanted. So there's uh there's
yeah,
pros and cons. We do have a question in the chat that came through from the
Okay,
uh
yeah. Says,
ooh,
hi, apologies, missed the previous sessions and haven't caught up yet. No worries about that. RE installing Python. Do I need to install an install manager before installing Python? So we were just chatting a bit about this before, but no, you don't, because you can just install it directly from the Python website, which is what I did. So and that will basically take you to different options. So you'll need to make sure, obviously, you pick the correct one for your operating system, whether you're on Windows or you're on Mac.
or Linux.
Yeah, or Linux,
I,
yeah.
I used to use Linux quite a lot, and apparently the world is moving back towards Linux. But
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah,
no.
well, everyone's a bit suspicious of mega corporations coming out of the US right now. So they're like, maybe we won't.
Yeah, totally fair enough. Um,
But yeah, weirdly, you can install Python through an install manager, or you can install an install manager through Python. That'll really cook your noodle.
yeah, so you can, if you're using an install manager, you can do it via pip, can't you? So you can use pip to install Python. So you'd be in your terminal and then you'd be using the pip command to do it. I wonder if the Python website gives you step-by-step instructions if you're also using it, if you're wanting to do it through pip.
I seem to remember it did. I think it also gave homebrew instructions and maybe Conda instructions.
Okay.
Yeah, there must be another install manager as well that they gave, probably sudo. So that's a Linux-based one.
Right. I'll have a little look.
there's another question in the chat.
Sure.
So someone's asked if any of us have used Positron before.
Positron, I have not. Ooh, I'm gonna have to Google that.
Yeah.
What do we got? What is positron? Uh, oh, Wikipedia's just told me it's the opposite of an electron. No, that's not it. Unifies exploration and production work in one free AI-assisted environment, empowering the full spectrum of data science in Python and R. Okay. Ooh, there's a overview on Science Direct. No, that's about the electrons again.
It was made by Posit or Posit or how it's pronounced.
Oh, from the R's overview company now.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh-huh. Well, that makes sense with the name.
Oh, so
Okay.
it lets you use Python and R. So code efficiently with full support for both Python and R in a single integrated editor.
Ooh, this looks very nice, actually. It looks
Yeah,
very R, like R Studio, but if it runs both Python and R, that might be really nice. Oh, what a wonderful suggestion. Thank you, lovely audience member. I, I don't know who you are, but if I could, I'd hold up that little sign from the meme that says, "I'm proud of you, total stranger." Cool. Thanks for that.
Cool. It seems like a very efficient environment to run, both Python and R code demonstrations for like one of our workshops as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that might be worth yeah, rather than switching between RStudio and VS Code, it might be nice to have just different windows open in the same IDE. Sweet.
that could be actually really useful for us. Yeah.
Mm.
I think this is also encouraging for our anyone watching to say that none of us knew of this and we're all delighted with it. So everyone can be encouraged that there's always more to learn.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's such a fast-moving field, isn't it? Like anything computational, there's always a new app or you know, new open source software.
Yeah, I'm overwhelmed every day.
Yeah,
It keeps coming.
doesn't stop.
All right. What is the first language that you used to learn, or what's the first coding language that you learned?
For me, it was
Yeah.
Python, because that's what they were using in my data science masters. But then subsequently, like learn R. I think once you know one programming language, Python and R, it is quite easy to jump between them if you just know that, like for instance, once you know what an assignment operator is, so the little arrow in R or the equals sign in Python, then I think it becomes quite easy to switch between them.
Nice. Uh, Nadia, what did you learn first?
I think I learned SPSS back in second year of uni.
Yeah.
Slowly integrated to Excel and then slowly integrated to R and Python, kind of
Okay.
slowly. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, I was thrown into SPSS, which I hated.
You're not alone. I learned SPSS in my master's degree and I felt it was pulling teeth.
Mhm.
Um, I'm gonna throw this out there. The first programming tool really that I learned was HyperCard Player. Uh, I think it might have been in the 80s when I learned it. It was or early 90s. And then I think I learned HTML before I learned anything else. And let me think. The first sort of yeah, so HTML definitely counts as a programming language. Didn't learn Basic or Java or C++. plus plus. I think Python was the next one I learned. And that's the only one that I still really use. HTML, I guess, is a bit relevant if you work in Markdown. It's very similar in a lot of ways with the sort of closing and opening brackets and things like that. But yeah, old school.
Yeah, I've never
Yeah,
heard.
definitely. Sorry, what did you say?
I've never heard of HyperCard Player before.
Nobody had. It was terrible.
If you want to maybe
Uh,
see how old it is, like in this picture here.
Oh wow. Oh wow.
yeah. It's I think there's a bunch of people that do like sarcastic retro programming in HyperCard, and that's about it. It's people just giving themselves a headache for fun. Um, but also this just goes to show that like there's always new things to learn, and sometimes it carries over in a useful way. Like I still use the principles of HTML quite a lot when I
Yeah,
work in Markdown, and a lot of the principles of programming will be applicable to everything else. So I found I learned Python quite easily because I'd already done some other stuff. So even if you think, oh, what's the point in learning this? It'll be, obsolete in 5 years. You think, well, you're still learning skills about how to think about programming
yeah,
that will always be relevant to programming, as far as I know.
yeah, definitely. Like, because you're learning the logic and the rules and the syntax, and once you get that down.
Yeah. Things like for loops are relevant for all kinds of programming languages.
Hmm.
It's just the
Definitely.
details about do you need an indent or a colon or square brackets or round brackets or whatever.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions from our YouTube audience?
What is it?
Seem- Seems like
Um,
not. Did have something I wanted to share about naming conventions, which
okay.
is if you start out naming all your files with year, month, day format, they are infinitely better to sort by name because they go in chronological order. You can put it down or up order, but that's the benefit of using year, month, day format. If you do either US or UK standard format, which have month or day first, it becomes really hard to sort everything. And obviously, we've all come across final version 1, final version 2, final version 349, this time for real. Those are really hard to sort.
Yeah, that was how I used to name all my files before I got to grips with naming conventions. It was like
Yeah,
final, draft one, draft two, and then
yeah.
final, final, split one. Yeah.
Final with edits, final with no edits, final
Yeah.
with edits from that person, final with edits from the other. Yeah, it's just want to throw out there for everyone, please consider year, month, day format.
Very good advice. Definitely. Well, I think we are at the official end of this code anxiety session.
Yeah.
Emma, is there anything else in the chat, or should we wrap up here?
Someone has just asked what's next for this code club, but
Oh, okay. That's a
That's a
really
good
good
point.
question.
Yeah, we'll create another batch of sessions. We'll probably take at least a 2 week break. So we'll probably announce the next batch of sessions in early March.
Mhm.
And we'll probably, again, set out 6 or 7 sessions. We'll give an outline of the topics that we'll cover in each. And again, they will be more or less the same time and the same length and the same kind of content, but we will try not to repeat ourselves too much. If you do have questions, or if there's a topic you want to see in that, go ahead and put it in the comments to this video, or send us an email.
Yeah,
At
definitely. We're down to cover, anything that anyone might be struggling with. I'm sure we can fit it in there. So yeah, if
Yeah,
anyone else watching wants to post potential topics, go ahead.
yeah, yeah, please do. And thank you everybody for coming. Keep an eye out on the UKDS events page for our next set of sessions. We put them on the UKDS page, right? With the link to the YouTube live
Yeah,
stream. Yeah.
yeah.
So they will appear in the events page, and you can find us then. We we will continue to exist.
Yeah, but thanks everyone for attending. Yeah.
Yeah.